You are now listening to the Walk by Faith podcast. I'm your host, Jasmine Stith, aka The Pretty Plug. I'm on a mission to tell the lost story that combines faith in God and success here on this earth. The world often separates faith and entrepreneurship as if it was mutually exclusive. But I assure you it's not. I interview the following types of people: entrepreneurs, business women, and businessmen climbing the corporate ladder, founders of nonprofit organizations, college students following their passions, and also artists on the rise. They are movers and shakers in this generation, and I intend to plug you in week after week with content that inspires and educates you to be all that you are called to be. Thank you for tuning in, and now for this week's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 on the Walk by Faith show. Why does the world need to hear this podcast? You know, I get that question often. The world often separates faith and entrepreneurship as if they are mutually exclusive. Society preaches that individual success and all you need is yourself. I intend to prove through my podcast interviews that you need faith and a belief in a higher power to continue to build success even when times become hard. My podcast is catered to those who feel alone on this entrepreneurship journey, and they need words that combine faith and business acumen. My podcast should serve as a gentle reminder to all entrepreneurs, to business owners, to dreamers abroad, that you can't overcome failures and business challenges without the implementation of faith and belief in God from a biblical and application perspective. Now, you know I'm good for having somebody on the show that can bring the heat with all kind of talents. So our guest on today is a 24-year-old Chicago native by way of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. She intends to use her music to give life to the current state of R&B. Her love for music started at a very young age, and her musical influence includes Brandy and also her mother, who was a traveling R&B artist in Chicago. She honed her craft by performing in various school productions at the Ronald H. Brown Community Academy. She is a singer that continued to start in school productions, singing the Negro National Anthem in her high school's Black History program. And these performances earned her countless praise and her peers in the high school facility, instilling within her the confidence to pursue a career in music. So please welcome our guest, Miss Inez Whitt, aka Nezi. Nezi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Jasmine?
I'm good, girl. I can't complain. It's a beautiful Sunday, and I'm so happy that I get a chance to interview you. So, I like to open up with an icebreaker, just something so our audience gets relaxed, you can get relaxed, I can get relaxed. Can you name 3 things that would tell anyone who is afraid to follow their dreams and passions?
Well, 3 things that I think anyone that's following their dreams and passions they should know is to always, of course, walk by faith. That's something that I've been doing for a long time. Never compare your journey. It's easy to get on social media and look at pictures and see the things that other people are doing and to get caught up in that and forget self. So it's really important to never compare your journey. And then lastly, believe in yourself and all that you are. A lot of the grind behind, following your dreams is to believe that you can achieve those dreams. So that's something that I'm always telling people, to believe in yourself and all that you are.
Wow. Thank you, Nezi. Now, I like to journey through a person's life to see where they were, where they're going, and just to tell a little bit of in between. A lot of people may not have known, Nezi, that you're a Chicago native, but you also ventured to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. That's where you and I took classes. That's where we met. We danced together. We had a little history, okay?
Right.
But I want you to just expound upon your goals and dreams of becoming a singer and talk about your journey from Chicago to Pine Bluff.
So, as a little kid, I found out early on that I could sing. My mom heard me singing Brandy one day, and she kind of just looked at me like, "Whoa, you can sing, like do that again." And so, from that point on, I got really interested in kind of, singing more. So I was in choir at my elementary school, Ronald H. Brown. I was always doing productions, whether it was like singing with the school choir or even singing with, we kind of had a club where it was kind of like a Spanish club. So I was learning Spanish at the same time. So we would sing songs in Spanish and just doing like Christmas assemblies. So from that point on, I knew that I was really interested in singing, but I didn't kind of know what I wanted to do with that. So me and my family eventually we moved to Arkansas. My mom just wanted a fresh start for us, and that's also around the time my grandfather he passed away, and so we she wanted to get us somewhere to kind of start fresh, and so we moved where the rest of my family is on my mom's side, to Pine Bluff, Arkansas, which was a huge culture shock for me coming from the city to the south. And
Mhm.
so it was really interesting. Once I started back school and everything, I got back in the groove of like music. And so I was in like the school choir once I joined 34th Avenue, the school there, the elementary school. Got in the choir. Wasn't in band at the time until high school. But a lot of people don't know that my mom was an R&B singer as well. And so she's really been a musical influence for me. And yeah, my journey from Chicago to Pine Bluff has been interesting, and it's something I'll never forget. Just because I have a lot of like my foundation has been there where I discovered that I can sing and developed the interest of singing, and also seeing my mom singing the church choir as well.
Okay, and I want to, talk more about your mom because for some reason, when we're born, we have mom's chromosomes a little bit. We get some of our dad chromosomes, and it all mixes together to create some of who we are. And a lot of times, our talents align with something that our parents have also taught us, or there's something that just is passed down through the DNA. I'll
Hmm.
give you an example. My dad has a lot of wisdom. He can talk to anybody. Anytime we go to the store, I'll be like, Dad, you know everybody in the store. I find myself now, people be like, Jasmine, dang, like everywhere we go, you know somebody. Or even
Yeah.
with my mom, like she's an entrepreneur. She's a hard worker. I mean, her work ethic is just, she's about to go back to school. She already a nurse. She about to be a grandma. Like
Yeah.
she just don't stop. So it's just like, even with you, Nezi, you are following after your mom's footsteps. And I just want to talk about what she taught you about the music industry, and how did that also foster your love for music, and just wanting to shout your mom out because it's so important. Moms is important.
Yes, I'm so grateful for my mom. She's not one, I feel like I've been blessed to have a mother that supports me in anything that I do. And when she knew that I wanted to, sing and take it serious, she was like, all right, let's do it. And so my mom, she's just a huge supporter. She was telling me about the music industry and how it's changed so much from when she was performing and gigging, and it's how it's similar. And she was telling me how back in the day you could go up to potentially like a record label and kind of wait out and wait for someone to grab their attention. And nowadays it's a lot harder because we have social media. Back then she didn't have social media.
Mhm.
She had word of mouth. So people knew about her through word of mouth, and how, social media makes it easier for us. So she was really encouraging me to like use my platform to get more consistent with covers. Um, just really just sing from the heart. And she also told me, it's important to have like consistency, but also, if it ain't from the heart, ain't nobody gonna feel it anyway. So make sure they feel you when you do deliver it. So it's something that I've always, thought about when I'm putting out a cover. It's always from the heart, and because I was in that mood, or I've been in that space before where I felt that way. That's why I'm always doing something that's super heartfelt. And, I feel like people connect more when something's genuine. And so that's just something she's instilled in me as a singer. Like, make sure it comes from the heart.
Mhm.
Nowadays we can see if someone's just singing just because, or they just put out a track just because, like a filler track on the album. That song you would skip on the album. That's like, this doesn't fit the album, or why did he or she do that? That just threw off my vibe. So it's something that's, she's always instilled in me, like, make sure you're coming from the heart, make sure you come correct to people, because nowadays people want to hear something genuine they can connect to. So she's been
Mhm.
really a huge supporter and pushing me and keeping me motivated and in high spirits in general.
I believe that. And, I've seen you grow from high school singing to, like,
Yeah.
we can go to any social media platform, and Nezi, you're there. You're constantly putting out content. And I know that probably had a lot to do with your next journey of moving from Pine Bluff, Arkansas to Jonesboro just to go to school. A lot of times we think, oh, we don't need college, but I would definitely beg to differ in some areas where I was not mature as an 18-year-old to know I can do all of these things. And social media back then wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So it's just like, even with the different like Facebooks and Google, like it just wasn't there when we were 18. So I still think college was so important. And we have a lot of listeners that are in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and they're like, man, I want to go to college out of state or even away from my city. What should I do, and if it's even a good move for me? Do you have any like scholarship advice, or if you changed your major at any point in time, do you have anything you can give the listeners?
Yes. So, after high school at Pine Bluff High, I did go to college at Arkansas State University. And I basically had a full ride there. I knew I wanted to sing still, and so I had a choir scholarship. Being in state, you get a lot of perks a lot of times. So I had the Arkansas Lottery Scholarship, and also with the help of financial aid, they do that on a need basis. And so that helped me a lot. I would encourage anyone that's trying to go to college, and before you make that move to try to get away from home and mom and dad, and just to experience something new, like weigh out the pros and cons and see where you can rack up on the most scholarship money, because having that choral grant and Arkansas Lottery and plus financial aid really helped me so much. And when I was in college undergrad, I was a music major, so I was vocal performance. And although I love that major, it was a lot of kind of like opera singing, which was really different for me. Yeah, it was opera, and we would visit from time to time, like gospel and jazz, but we never like dived into like R&B. And I knew that I was really interested in that because that's all I sung growing up, like listening to my mom, listening to the music she listened to, from Toni Braxton to Brandy to Aretha Franklin, those really R&B singers. And so I asked my voice teacher one time, like, hey, are we gonna get into R&B? And he was like, not so much. And this is when I was like a sophomore, like first semester, when I realized, like, oh wait, this is mid first semester, sophomore year, and he's telling me we're not really gonna touch on R&B. What? This is not what I envisioned. And so I knew at that time I was taking music a lot more serious because I was doing vocal training. I was in jazz choir. I was in the school choir. But I knew that if I really want to take this serious, I need to know the business of
Mhm.
music. And so I had so many credits at Arkansas State that they were like, well, if you're going to change your major now, if you still want to graduate on time, you're going to have to take summer classes. You might as well make this a minor since you have so many credits in music. And so I was like, cool. And I talked to the dean of the business department, a business school there. And after talking to him, I was like, okay, cool. I think I really want to change my major to marketing because I have no idea how to market myself as an artist if I'm going to take this serious. Like, I have no idea how to do that. I just know to just repost, like
Yeah.
repost everything and just tell people, hey, listen and all that stuff. And so after changing my major to marketing, I felt like I knew more about just how to like run a business because you have to take so many classes, in that. So I do feel like after changing my major, it really helped to shape what I was trying to do, marriage, like music and business.
Mhm.
So I feel like doing that helped me a lot to just understand the business side of things because that was something I had no idea about.
Okay, and following that, did you ever go to get your master's and to continue your education?
I did. So I moved to New York,
Wow. Okay.
which was a really, it was an interesting journey coming from, Pine Bluff to New York. And I moved here to go to NYU, New York University, which they have a program specifically for music business. So although I had my undergrad degree in marketing with emphasis in management and then a minor in music, I still didn't understand the music business. And so when I
Mhm.
saw the opportunity to get into this program, I had to take a leap of faith. I was like, either, you can, Google and all that stuff and look into things online, but you don't really get the clear picture if you don't understand the business. Like you can read so much knowledge online, but it's a lot of stuff you have to learn through experience. And so,
Right.
I got into New York University. They had a master's in arts music business program. And I got into it, which I was very surprised because I'm that type of person. I'm super analytical. I was looking at their acceptance rate. And so it said 30%. And I'm like, well, what are my chances getting into this program? And when I got in, I was like, okay, God, I don't know what you're telling me, but I'm gonna take this leap of faith and I'm gonna go to this, go to attend this school. And so going there, I had a lot of musical knowledge because, back in high school, I was in band, I was in choir, I had those foundational programs. And so I felt like this propelled me into the journey to NYU. It's like, okay, we know you can
Mhm.
sing and stuff, but I didn't know how to market myself as an artist. And so,
Right.
again, I did music business and I learned so much about contracts. So, things that a lot of artists don't know till it's too late and they realize like, oh wait, had I did this, I would be making more money, but I didn't know like the label was taking X amount of royalties and all the money I
Mm.
could be making. And so I learned a lot in my like law of the music business class. I was taking law, I was taking promo and publicity of the music business. I was taking artist and repertoire. I was taking artist management. I took a lot of classes that were catered to the music business. I had a lot of experiences as well from interning at a company called Touch Tunes, which they're like this new, kind of fairly new company where they have like electronic updated jukeboxes. And then I also interned at Rock Nation. And so it was
Mm.
very eye opening to see what it's like for to hear those conversations in those rooms, what they talk about artists, the type of deals, and to apply my knowledge from the classroom to my internship experience was really eye opening. And so I feel like overall that major helped me to realize, okay, I still want to do this. I still want to pursue, music, and I also know a little something, something. So if somebody tries to slide me a deal, I know certain things, the lingo of what
Mm.
to
Yeah.
watch out for. Like it's things you don't want, as an independent artist nowadays. Even A&Rs will tell you like, if you can make it work independently, that's the way to go because that's when you're, recouping 100% of what you're making. And so it's just been very eye-opening experience from like internships to classrooms, hearing people like CEOs and CFOs come to the classroom talking to us from like Warner and those the major three labels. It's been really eye opening, and I feel like if I am presented with a deal, I know what to negotiate, what to say, the lingo, and if I decide to be independent, then that's what I decide. So I do feel more prepared as an artist to go and full force and tackle this music industry.
Right. And I want to now like tap into some of your knowledge and expertise. So I know you said as an independent artist, you get 100% of any profits that you make. But let's say if you were given an opportunity to take a label deal, what are some of the cons to that and maybe some of the pros? And I know we kind of going off script, but do you have some insight to share?
So, like, some of the pros, of course, when you're independent, you're doing everything by yourself. Like, currently, what I'm doing, like, I'm doing the marketing for myself, promotions, pushing everything by myself. But of course, if you have a label, you have a whole team. You have someone that's doing your marketing. You have someone that's over booking the venues. You have someone basically that's take care of everything that as an independent artist, you're doing that by yourself versus with the label, you have a team. They're doing that for you. You just need to focus on your craft. So the cons of that, though, when you're signing those deals, you have to be careful with certain, like, if you don't know the terminology in these contracts, then you could be signing your life away. You could be signing a deal that says, you're signing, they get 50%, you get 50, or you could be signing a deal where you get 30, they get 70. You don't know, you don't really know if you don't know the lingo, if you don't have at least a lawyer that's present that knows, like, hey, watch out for this. It says this, it says that. So that's a con to signing as well. You could be, signing your life away. You have to, in order to break the contract, you got to make X amount of albums, or it's different stuff for every artist. You will never like hear an artist that has the exact same like deal unless it's maybe like a 360 deal. And those type of deals is when like the label can have a percentage of anything that you do. Like anything that you can make money off of, they can basically pretty much take a percentage of. And so, that's a con because, instead of making 100%, you're giving some of your money away. And that's a lot, when you're dealing with, if you're somebody like Beyonce and, her label is taking most of her money, if she just did it by herself, but, Beyonce is Beyonce. We know she making money. But,
yes, she's stealing everybody's coins,
yeah,
okay?
but,
Everybody.
someone like a emerging artist like me, or someone that's, just got some traction and got some, clout, you have to watch out for those deals. And a lot of even people in the music industry now will tell you, like, hey, if you can make it work by yourself, I know it's hard, I know it's a grind. If you can make it work by yourself, please do, because it's a lot once you like look at the numbers of what you could be making, but now that you're signed to a deal, your label is kind of taking some money away from you. Then you start looking at like, okay, was this really a good idea to sign? But of course, when you're signing, you get a lot of opportunities because there's a lot of high up people in those labels that know people at other companies where you can get interviews left and right. So those are some pros of signing. I'm also not against, if presented the opportunity, not against signing, but of course you want to be able to, if you can, negotiate things to where you're not stuck in a deal, or you also have to worry about getting dropped from a label too. If you're not creating the content that's pushing out, certain amount of sales and making the label money, then if they don't see you as a priority, they could potentially drop you. And that's
Wow.
that's scary as an artist to know that one day you're doing this and you're really trying your best, and maybe 3 months later you can be dropped from the label completely, and that's something that's daunting and scary to even think about. To you're trying to work and grind, and the label just drop you.
Right. Well, I think, and this may be just a side comment because I'm not knowledgeable about everything, but I think that's why it's so important that, we go into industries that look like us. And right now, hip hop seems to be definitely reflecting us to the
Oh
max.
yeah.
And utilizing social media, utilizing all of these platforms, SoundCloud, YouTube, social media to be able to become discovered, because it has happened to others. I guess all it takes is for you to go viral or enough people to support you. That's all it really takes.
Yep. And also it takes that it can literally take that one important person to see your video or to hear your music that's like, whoa, we need to get he or she like, so and so needs to be listening to this. It could take literally that one person can change everything.
I agree. I agree. And so I want to now talk about your songwriting process, Nezi.
Hmm.
What does this look like for you? Because I'm interested, before you get on social media, what are you doing to just create your content, and where do you pull your inspiration from?
So for me, it's different. Also, a lot of artists will tell you it's different as well. For me, what helps me write, and it's so weird how I get like hooks or just a verse. Sometimes if I'm around water, like if it's raining or if I'm in the shower, like the shower, look, a lot of artists will tell you the shower is legit. You will get a lot of musical inspiration. I don't know why. I've talked to other artists and they say the same thing, like water, something about water. I don't know. I need to do some research to figure out what it is about water. But every time, like, I'm in the shower, I get an idea at least. And I'll hum it and thank God for like voice memos and notes in our phones because that's what helps me to like, if I think of like a verse or even a melody, I can hum it into my like voice memo and, save it. And so for me, it's either I can get an idea in the shower, or if I'm watching like a YouTube video of someone's song, or if I'm listening to music, I get, it helps me to write. Or sometimes if I'm, sometimes when you're going through, like you're just going through a lot in life, you can just write, write things down. And I've been like, my friends have been encouraging me, like, even if you're not like in that mode, if you're like upset, write anything, just write it down. Don't try to make it into like, oh, it has to sound like a song right now. Just write down your thoughts. That's what helps me write. Just write it all down, and then later you can come back and try to, clean it up. And a lot of artists get inspiration differently too, because sometimes if I hear a beat and I can write to it, then, I can get a song out. And sometimes it could take 15 minutes for some, artists to write a song, 30 minutes. It could take 2 days, a week. It really depends on like the inspiration too. Like if you're not in the mood to write, of course you're not gonna write. But if you're really inspired by something, you're gonna write, or you might have a verse and then you meet someone, or you just get inspired by something different and it helps you to get the rest of the song out. But it looks different for everyone. Like my writing process isn't like the same every time. I can write to a beat one time. I get a inspiration by listening to other music, or if I'm in the shower, that's old faithful right there. The shower, I get that inspiration.
Okay. So, have you ever pulled inspiration from the struggles of living in New York City? And if so, do you care to share any of the struggles of living here, or even some of the pros of living here? Because I know that that could also be some inspiration to some of your writing.
Yeah, I have just written down like my thoughts about just the struggles of living in the city. Sometimes coming from Pine Bluff, where it's really kind of close knit, especially when you're around your family. Moving somewhere where you have no family is, it can be very lonesome. And so sometimes I just write it out. Like I just write down how I feel about just things and just being here and just life. And it's really crazy living in New York. Like it can be, especially coming from the South, it can be a culture shock just because everyone is moving. There's a grind every day. Someone's, trying to rush to work and they may bump you and they will not say, excuse me or I'm sorry. They will keep walking. People are a little rude here. I'm sure you've at least seen that.
Oh, yes, I've seen a little bit.
Yeah, they're a little rude here, and it's not as quiet as Pine Bluff at all. Like it's very noisy. You hear the subway, you hear like blaring horns, and it's very, it's always on the move. You're always on the move. Like you feel like sometimes you can feel rushed, but the pros of being here, there's so much to do. There's so much to do, so much to see, so much opportunity. Like there's always something going on here. Like, that's the difference between here and Pine Bluff. Sometimes there's, it could be something, a gathering, a little party here and there. But, here the options are endless, from restaurants to clubs to parties to an event to concerts, like you name it. It's just so much to see in the city and to do in the city.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add, I feel like here you pull from inspiration of others. Like, not that you're comparing yourself to other people, but you can find somebody that maybe you're inspired
Mm-hmm.
by, and they're here, and you have a conversation with them, and they're able to give you tips or strategies that can help you, increase your musical journey or increase your skills as an artist. Have you met anybody here that has really inspired you while you've been in the city? Because it's such an easy access point for us.
I actually have people in my program, just hearing their journey and other songwriters. They're like, just go after it. You have to be on the scene. It's, about networking. It's a lot of who you know, who you meet. Also when you meet them, of course you have to prove to them, especially if you're in those spaces, to meet like an A&R, which is someone that looks for the talent. You're in those spaces to meet them, you still have to prove yourself. You have to show them. Like, of course, that's with anyone. Like, if you're recommending someone for a job, you have to know that that person is a hard worker and that they're going to get the job done, or else, of course, you wouldn't recommend them. So it's
Right.
about, I've met an A&R before, and he was just like, you just got to, it's about consistency. It's about really being out and about and meeting people and showing them, like, this is what I want to do. Like, this isn't something that's just, oh, just because. Like, this is something very serious to me. And so it's about being consistent, um, being persistent as well, like showing people, like, I'm very serious about this. You have to show people you're serious. They don't want to see it as, a joke, or of course they won't take you serious. And it's just being consistent and really working on your talent and on your craft, like showing people that you're really out here trying to, perfect your craft and you're serious about it. So it's about getting out there, being serious, and, marketing yourself to show people that you're, really working on your craft. So I've met people through my program, and that A&R, he really inspired me. Like, keep going. Like, you have the talent. You just have to really keep going and, get in those spaces and really be dedicated, really getting out there.
Okay. So you talked a lot about marketing and what it's like to, make sure people know about the music that you upload. What are some of the different places that help you to distribute your music across various platforms? I'll give you an example. For me, I go to Anchor. Anchor publishes it everywhere for free every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, how is it? How do you upload your content? Is there a fee? How much does it cost? Can anybody get in? Do you have to go through another agency? Can you talk about the process of uploading content so that you can be discovered?
Yeah. So when you're uploading, if you want to upload content to Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, those, big names, those platforms, you can use distribution platforms like one is called DistroKid, which I use, and TuneCore. They're pretty similar, but of course they have different pricing tiers. DistroKid, I know when I first uploaded my single for Apple Music and Spotify, iTunes, and Pandora, I use DistroKid, and they have different tiers. One is like musician, the other is musician plus, I believe, and then there's like a label tier. Like, of course, if you're signed, that's what your label uses. But one of them is really basic. Like, I guess if you want to do like one-offs, like I just want to do a single and just one album, or it's really basic. I know the tier is very basic. You get like, you can upload it to like Apple Music, Spotify, and Pandora and Tidal.
And is it in the $2 digits or
Yeah,
$3?
like I think the first one is 20, I believe. The Musician Plus, I feel like I think it was 26-ish, 27. And then the label one was more on the higher end, maybe $80, but that's still like really doable when you're trying to, upload music. And you don't have to go through anyone. Like if an independent artist, you can just literally go to distrokid.com and sign up, put in your information like your artist name, the genre, and all that stuff. Like if you're splitting the deals with people, like for example, like a producer was he did 40% of the work on your single or album, you would put in like all that information that they need to know in order to populate the content and to upload it correctly. And you pay for it. You look at which tier is best for you, and then you pay for it then and there, and it's up there. And they'll tell you like time frame, like when you can see it. Like maybe I think one of them, Spotify or Apple Music, takes a little longer, but they do tell you like it's gonna take X amount of time, like maybe a week or a day, or they tell you, they make sure they notify you when it's uploaded. Make sure you put in an email address that is valid and that you can use and that you have access to, because that's really important to check on the status of things. And you can also put lyrics in too, which is something for my first single I did. Um, I put in the lyrics because it's always fun when you're listening to music, to know the words. And so on Apple Music, and I believe maybe, I'm not sure if Spotify has that feature, but I use Apple Music. And they have a lyrics feature where you can look at the lyrics. So if you want to learn the words, you can. And SoundCloud, I didn't use DistroKid. I'm not sure if you can use DistroKid for SoundCloud, but SoundCloud is really easy to sign up for as well. You make your profile, you can tag the mood of your song, and upload it. And you make sure you have cover art, like what you want your cover art for your single or album to be, and you just upload it on SoundCloud. It's free unless you want to have like an Artist Plus account where you kind of get access to more things like stats and things like that, like how your song is doing. But it's fairly easy to upload your music nowadays. It's not you don't have to have a label, and that's why a lot of people encourage nowadays to be independent, because it's just so much out there. It's so much you can do by yourself that you don't necessarily need a label. Although, of course, being independent, there's much more of a grind than, if you're signed, you have a team, and when you're independent, you don't. So DistroKid and TuneCore, they, really make it easy to upload music. And their pricing tiers are a little different, but I know both are affordable.
Okay, and this is just a random question. Are you able to receive a profit by the amount of streams that you get, or is it, you're just uploading your content and you have to follow other processes to get
Well,
money?
I think you have to have like a certain amount to start seeing like money revenue from it. Of course, if you don't have a large audience, that's something I'm working on. I had a lot of people listen to my first single on SoundCloud because I was, your first single, you're really nervous about things, and I was like, I'm just gonna put it on SoundCloud, and that's a place where you don't make profit. And then a week later, I put it on DistroKid. So had I, maybe did it all at once, I could have seen like a profit from it. But I decided to just, do a SoundCloud release and then later put on Apple Music and Spotify once I heard that people were like, hey, can you put on Apple Music? So eventually you can see a profit, but you have to have, of course, X amount of people buying it. Streams, of course, when you're streaming, you have to have a lot of listeners in order to see like statistics from it. I think one of them you have to have maybe, don't quote me, but maybe like 20 something or 30 something people listening to, streaming it to see the statistics for it. Now, as far as money, I think you have to have a lot more streams, like a lot more, maybe thousands, to see like money from it. But that's the thing about being an artist. A lot of people at labels is like, how many people are following you? How many plays? How many people have listened to your music? That's something really important to them because they can gauge how big your audience is, and that's something a lot of independent artists struggle with. It's like, hey, how can I get my audience to grow and the content? That's just something for me too that I've been trying to work out to, grow my following and just, I think it's also goes back to being really consistent and, uploading content on a regular.
Okay, so listen, guys. Nezi, excuse me, she just told us that one way we can support her is by going to all of her platforms and listening to her music. And I would love if all 100 of you or the next 200 people that listen to this podcast go to Nezi Music on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and just really show her some love. And when you do, say that Walk by Faith
Yes.
podcast sent you. Now, the next question that I have is, what's your marketing strategy so that when you do release your music, people get hooked and people go in and they're like, oh, Nezi dropped another album, Nezi dropped a song, let me go listen to this content. What's your marketing strategy to help out
I
other
feel like
future artists?
it's something that we don't really pay attention to, but it's very powerful. Word of mouth. That's something that's very powerful that people, I feel like they kind of sleep on. Like word of mouth. You just tell someone and they listen to it, it spreads like wildfire. Like you tell someone, hey, listen to this track. Even when you're telling somebody like, hey, Beyonce just dropped an album, go listen. They're like, that's how that energy, that excitement, they go and tell someone else, you
Mm-hmm.
tell your cousin, like, did you hear Beyonce's album? Then they go listen to it. And it just keeps going and keeps going. Word of mouth is definitely something I rely on. Also, of course, my social media hashtags are important. I feel like the power of hashtags, because now on Instagram, you can follow hashtags. So it's important
Mm-hmm.
to hashtag things. Like, of course, it may look maybe annoying to see like hashtags, but those are really powerful because even when I hashtag things, somehow people find me. And I feel like it's through an hashtag. Like because sometimes I even go through hashtags to see what, if there's like a challenge, you see what the hype is. You like, oh, wait, that makes you even want to go listen to the song, even if you listen to it and you feel like, oh, I don't like the song, you still listen to it. So there's a power behind like
Mm-hmm.
hashtags and really using social media. And if you can get people to repost things, that helps because we all don't follow the same people. So it helps to kind of helps. It's kind of like word of mouth. Once you repost things, someone sees it, they're interested in, it, they click on it, they look at the content, and there you go. You get someone else to go look at it and listen to it. And so I feel like that's kind of my strategy. It's like word of mouth and really utilizing hashtags and getting people to repost it. That's something that's really important. And I feel like even people that have a larger audience, they do the same thing. Like they get someone they know, listen to it, and then, word of mouth and reposting it. That's how a lot of stuff get, seen and heard.
Okay. So, I wouldn't be the pretty plug unless I asked you to plug us all into your music. But I really want you to give us a small sample so people get to hear your voice in real time. Are you up for it?
I think I am.
Okay, okay. Well, the floor is yours, Nizzy. Give us, drop us a beat. Give us a note. Tell us, sing us a song, girl.
Boy, why is it so hard for you to call me? Ooh, oh boy. Up here in the city feeling lonely, yeah. You know what I'm saying. It's not just because. Don't know why you're playing. You know I'm falling in love. Give all, then we'll be fine. But first, baby, I need your time. Your time. Boy, all I need is time. Just give me all your time. Ooh, tell me what it do. Gotta show and prove. All I need is, yeah.
Wow, yes, I love
Yeah,
that.
that's my
Hey,
first
okay,
single.
and so I would do. Yes, that sounds so good. Thank you. And do you practice often
I
on
do.
your voice? Do you
I do
practice?
actually. I warm up a lot of days just because I feel like it's really important to keep that like momentum and just to keep just like we exercise, you have to exercise your voice. Like just how some people do all those runs, that's the agility from like practicing. Like it's really important to practice. When I'm not vocally practicing, I'm that person that's on YouTube like really studying how people do performances, how they look, how they're engaging with the audience because that's another part of being an artist. You have to know how to, perform because we watch a lot of people that have
Wow.
that they can sing, but when we see them perform, they don't have stage presence. And I'm like, I want to be that artist that has stage presence and people can connect to. So a lot of days I am like warming up. I drink a lot of water. I drink a lot of tea. I've cut out a lot of like sugary drinks, things that can irritate your voice. And Lord knows, I don't want anything to go wrong with my voice because that's my pride and joy. It's my instrument. So I do a lot of vocal warm ups.
Hmm.
I also play the piano a little bit, so I do practice on my piano a lot. So it's just about perfecting your craft, and if it's really something you're serious about, of course you're gonna practice and you're gonna really study. That's a lot of like I hear a lot of people saying like studying how like the greats did it, like studying what they did, and it's really important. And that's a lot of where my like influence comes from when I'm studying people, or people like Brandy and like Lauryn Hill and Whitney Houston. When you watch them perform, it's like it's captivating. You see them, you're connecting with the crowd, and I just want to be that artist too. At the end of the day, you felt something when you heard me sing.
Yes. Well, I felt something when I heard
Thank
you sing, Nezi. I felt something. Okay. I'm just like, listen, he needs to call me. Why he not calling?
Yes, see, that's
Yeah.
all you know,
I'm out here in the city. Why he
right.
not
You up
calling?
here
When he gonna
alone, you in
call?
the city, you need to call, you need his time.
Yes, yes. Okay. And I have my last and final question, which is, what does walking by faith mean to
Walking
you?
by faith means you trust God. Like you have to trust him. Walking by faith means you trust him, but also knowing that I feel like when people say like I just leave it to God and leave it alone. I feel like you have to extend that a little more. Like leave it to God, but I also have to be putting in the work. I can't tell God I want this job, but I haven't applied for a job. You gotta send out your resume. You gotta,
Mm.
talk to people. And so I feel like walking by faith is trusting God, but also doing your part. Because I feel like once God sees that you're doing the work, then He helps you. He's there for He guides you. Even if you go on an alternative path, the end game is still the same with God. He's gonna give what's destined for you
Mm.
is for you. And so I firmly believe that just even looking back over my own life, like I've arrived to this occasion for a reason. And even though I'm in between blessings and things aren't always peachy, I know that God is still there for me. I know that this is what I'm meant to do. It's not going to be easy, and He told us it's not going to be easy, but He promised to be there every step of the way. And so I feel like walking by faith means trusting that God is there through the good and the bad, and knowing that you're doing your part so that He can meet you at the end.
Mm.
Yes.
Thank you, Nezi. Man. So, oftentimes I have a Bible scripture that I like to share with the audience. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so I am going to choose, let me go back into scene. So the Bible scripture that I chose for the day is Ezra 3:11, which is, they sang, praising and giving thanks to the Lord, saying, for he is good, and his loving kindness is upon Israel forever. And all the people shouted with a great shout that they praised the Lord because the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid. So the reason why I chose this was because, one, we're talking about singing, we're talking about craft, we're talking about Nezi and her journey just to becoming this artist that is going to blow up one day. It's just a nick of time. It just takes one. We can get so many no's, but it only takes one. And I believe that when we live with the joy of the Lord in our heart, we're not comparing ourselves to anybody else. We're making sure that we are perfecting our craft. We're working diligently and unto the Lord, and we're being joyful about it, and we're making sure that we acknowledge that he is good. There is nothing that won't happen that is not for us. And Nezi, just like you just said, everything that is supposed to happen for us will happen. There is nothing under the stars and the moon and the skies that, if it's for us, we will definitely have it. So I am so, thankful to have you on the show today. And yes, and thank you, Nezi, for your story and sharing your art and your musical journey with us. Now, Nezi, I did label or just, name your social media platforms, but if you can, just tell us one more time, so that we can be reminded where we
Yes,
can follow
I
you.
am on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Nezi, which is Nezi Music. So Nezi Music. Capitalizing on Twitter and Facebook, but lowercase on Instagram. Nezi Music.
Thank you, thank you. And if you want more content like this, make sure that you give the Walk by Faith podcast a 5-star rating and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can follow me, Jasmine Smith, aka The Pretty Plug, on Instagram at __ The Pretty Plug, and figure out what I'm doing. You can see all of my other social media handles from there. And to those of you already supporting the show with a monthly subscription, thank you. And if you're not already a supporter and would like to help make this show possible, tap on the link on the episode's description or visit anchor.fm/Jasmine/A/Stith to become a monthly supporter. It only takes 99 cents, $4, or even $10, whatever it is that you're feeling on your heart, if this content was meaningful for you. And that's all, folks. Tune in next week for another episode on the Walk by Faith Show.